Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Today we will discuss a very important and small test which is done for the evaluation of a case which presents to us with squinting eyes. So let's start. This test is called Hirshburg test, and this is very simple and very important test which can be done only with a torch for undergraduate levels, for MBBS and for postgraduate students. In this test, this is the right eye of the patient and this is the left eye, and this is the pupil and this is the pupil of the left eye. Right, left. Now we will throw the light of the torch from the front of the face of the patient from arm's distance, and we will ask the patient to see in the light of the torch. Now, normally what happens, the reflex of the torch is formed on the cornea, which is called corneal reflex, usually slightly nasal to the visual axis in both eyes, and we call it a state of orthophoria in which there is no deviation of the eye. Now, what are different options? That in the left eye, the reflex forms on the normal side, and on the right eye, it forms at the pupillary margin. It means nasal pupillary margin. This is nose and this is temporal side. So at nasal pupillary margin, one option is that. So it means that the eyeball is moved slightly outwards. The other option is that it is formed at the nasal limbus. In this case, the eye will be deviated much more towards the lateral side or outwards or divergent squint. The other option is that the corneal light reflex is formed in between these two. So, for the sake of understanding, if the corneal light reflex is formed at the nasal uh, side of the pupil in the dim light, normal light, then usually it is 15 degree of deviation or 15 degree of squint. In this case, it is 15 degree of exotropia. If it is formed out at limbus, it is 45 degree, and if it is formed in between, it is 30 degree. So same is the case if the eye is moved inwards, then this corneal reflex will not be formed on the nasal side, but it will be formed on the nasal pupil, temporal side of the limbus, and in between the two, and the readings will be same, but it will be convergent squint. Now, what is the interpretation? It has told us that the degree of the deviated eye, and now it is a simple test that 1 degree of deviation is equal to 2 prism diopter. So if the patient has 15 degree of deviation, multiply it by 2, so it will be 30 prism diopter. 30 will become 60 prism diopter, and the 45 degree multiplied by 2 will be 90 prism diopter. So by this simple test we can come to know how much is the deviation. And in the last I will just like to tell that like we measure the refractive errors in the units of spherical and cylindrical, that is -2 and -3 diopter cylindrical, or +2 ds or +2 ds along with +2 dc, that is cylindrical at some angle. Similarly in Hirshburg test we measure the deviation in prism diopter, because prism measures the displacement or deviation. So this is the unit of measurement of the deviation in the squinting eye. Thank you very much.